Ooh, that's a good one, man. You're listening to the Urban Sports Scene NBA Finals post-game show. In Game 5 of the NBA Finals, the OKC Thunder defeated the Indiana Pacers 120-109. The Thunder are now up 3-2 in the series, 1 game away from winning an NBA championship. I'm Wole, and I'm joined by one of the best college coaches in the game, Norfolk State's men's basketball coach, Robert Jones. Last season, his team won the MEAC's men's conference title and the tournament. What's up, coach? And welcome to the Urban Sports Scene. Also, before we get into like the actual game and stuff, how is the off season going? How's recruiting? How's the squad looking?
Oh, it's going all right, man. You know, we got everybody coming back this weekend, so I'll let you know more in like 2 weeks.
All right, but we're gonna have the HBCU corner interview. I want to know about that squad.
Yeah. I'll let you know more in like 2 weeks.
All right, bet. Before we talk about the finals, let's knock out some logistics. Hey, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and other podcast platforms. Just search the Urban Sports, and you can check us out on our website, which is theurbansportsteam.com. If you're on YouTube right now, you're not a subscriber, hit that red subscribe button and also like this video. Don't forget to tweet us at Urban Sports Scene. Hit us up on IG and TikTok at Urban Sports Scene, and also like our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. Also join our Urban Sports Scene Facebook group. Just search Urban Sports Scene, sports bloggers, sports podcasters, and sports debates. And also feel free to drop us a super chat if you feel like it. All right, coach, I mentioned the score 120 to 109 for the Thunder. What were your overall thoughts on the game?
I mean, once again, it was a good game. Just overall, for the most part, I would say it was a good game. The defensive pressure by the OKC really bothered, the Pacers. The uncharacteristic turnovers, I would say, they had them starting their offense at half court almost. They were really pressuring Haliburton. Haliburton, I know he got hurt, but, he just didn't show up today really.
Okay.
And that's why I kind of debate about the superstar thing with Haliburton. Because I say that there's a difference between a superstar and a clutch player.
Facts.
I think he's a clutch player. I think he certified himself as a clutch player. I even saw something one time on Twitter about how many clutch shots he's taken under 2 minutes. I think he's made like 13 out of 16 or 14. I mean, that's clutch,
Yeah, facts.
But a superstar comes and shows up every night too. So, I think that he'll have superstar performances. But, it's kind of tough saying he's a superstar. Now, against my beloved Knicks, he looked like a superstar. But overall, so I think the defensive pressure. Then also I think that the Pacers, they play fast. Obviously, that's their thing. But at points it seemed like they were playing too fast.
Facts.
And they were just a little sloppy and things like that. But credit to the Pacers too. Even though they end up losing by whatever they lost by, they're never dead. They're always going to fight back. I mean, they cut it to a 4, I think it was maybe.
Yeah, they cut like 4. They cut it to 4.
Yeah,
I must say cut it. Yeah.
Yeah, after being down what they were down. So. I mean, that was tremendous. I know McConnell had a great, third quarter, and then Siakam had a great fourth quarter, but they just couldn't get over that hump. And I think secretly for me, I am probably rooting for the Pacers because I would rather say my Knicks lost to the champions.
See, I thought it would be the opposite. I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought it would be the opposite. Okay, all right.
I would say they lost. I guess it's kind of like with us. We lost to the champ. We lost to Florida Gators, so we lost to the champ.
Facts.
So
yep, that's true. That's very true.
Be mad at that because that means nobody else beat them too.
True.
It wasn't just us. They beat everybody else that they played too. So it wasn't just us. So I'm kind of secretly rooting for the Pacers. I know some beloved Knicks fans might not want to hear that, but I think that if you lose to the champs, you lost to the best team there was.
Yeah, I used to have that thought process too, being a Commanders Redskin fan. I used to do that all the time. I said, hey, we beat them. And we ain't beat them. All right. And then if we did beat them, I'd be like, we the champions. So I used to be real petty. We weren't going to playoffs. It was a regular season when I was like, all right, we the champions. We beat them. They ain't nobody else beat them but us. But I'm glad you said that about. See, it's wild because I said this before about. I'm with you about Haliburton. There's no knock on him. Like we talk about superstars because there's levels to this, right?
Yeah.
Like he's clutch and he's an all-star, right? That's fair. He's an all-star. But a superstar is different because I'm gonna be real with you. I felt like the announcers were really playing up this injury thing because when I watched them play, it wasn't like he was playing with a limp. He was playing with speed. It wasn't like he was favoring one situation to the other. He looked like the same Haliburton. He felt like he just wasn't aggressive. And we've seen that in the postseason with him. We've even seen it in this series where, like, I want to say in game 2, where he wasn't aggressive in most of the game too, to like garbage time. So I don't ever want to. I don't want to hold on to like he was hurt, because I think people are like trying to throw that out there. This is what it is. He played bad. To me, he played bad, and that's what it was. He turned the ball over. Like, he had his opportunity, turned the ball over, didn't take down shots. Like, he wasn't making smart basketball plays. And to the point, I'm gonna be real with you, and this is why I want to ask you, because TJ McConnell was balling in that third quarter. TJ McConnell, what they did had nothing for him. They had no answer for him. I think he had I want to say he had like 13 or 15 points in that quarter. Like, and then in the fourth quarter, obviously you feel like you gotta rely on your star. So that's where Haliburton comes in, and he's the point guard. He's the one. But if it was you, I want to ask, if it was you and that dude was rolling like that, like TJ McConnell was rolling like that, and you saw that they had no offense, no defense for TJ McConnell, for a player like that, would you like sit your star point guard and say, all right, man, I know you got us here, but this dude right here, they really don't have an answer for him, and our offense is moving better with him. Like, how do you coach that?
I mean, I think it's easier for me in college, because it's like in the NBA. Well, I guess college is turning like the NBA a little bit when it comes to GMs, and people get paid a certain amount of money and things like that. But in the NBA, usually the guys that getting paid a lot of superstars, they want to put them on the floor because they don't want to see it. Like, they don't want to make it seem like they're paying them for no reason, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, for me, I've had to make those tough decisions as a coach before. When a guy who might be my best player is it just doesn't have it today. He just doesn't have it. And he got to come sit down. I mean, there's been times, I had a kid, maybe I think it was 2019, this kid, Nick Thomas. He was my leading scorer. I remember this vividly because we talk about this sometimes here and there. It's like, he was playing against Hampton, obviously a big battle, the big thing or whatever, that people make it out to be this rivalry. And he was my leading scorer. But the other team, like, he didn't have it going that moment. And the guys that were playing were like rolling, and I went up to him on the bench. I was like, "Hey, man, I want to get you in, but it's kind of hard to put you in right now because it's what." And credit to Nick, he said, "Man, those guys are going, so I'm cool with sitting down and just letting it happen." We won the game and everything, and actually he ended up hitting a big shot late to really put us over the top. So he stayed ready. So credit to him. And I've had that situation with other times too. But like I said, I think it's easier for me in college to do those things because I'm not paying somebody $50 million. You know what I'm saying? Like that, you feel like he has to be on the floor because and I've seen the NBA before too. I don't know if you remember. I forgot what year it was when the Magic got to the finals. And remember, Rayford Austin was playing well.
Because Jameer Nelson. Yeah, you saw when they played the Lakers.
Yeah.
They did. Rayford was playing better than Jameer. Yeah, Jameer.
Yeah,
he was.
Going. I mean, he got them, helped get them to the finals. Facts. But then when Jameer came back healthy. They put Rayford on the bench. Now, I think to this day, I think that's not like the best decision when they did that. That's because I mean, Skip had it, he had it going. But Jameer was the guy that was making the 15, 20 minutes, whatever he was making back then. And Rayford wasn't the guy that was making that kind of money. So you got to kind of put the superstar, in no matter what, which is, I think it's silly because I think at the end of the day, it should all be about winning. I mean? Yeah. Everybody goes home to a mansion, right? So what are we mad about?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and this is the difference. Like, I get a regular season game. I can get a regular season game because it's a regular season game. Yeah. It's a championship, bro. Like, it don't. At the end of the day, that's where, like, to your point, you got millions. Like, the what people gonna remember you about is that you won this championship. Even if you got benched by TJ McConnell, no one's gonna remember. If say the Pacers win that game because TJ McConnell stayed in and was the player of the game. He took the show. 5 years from now, and you win a championship, people ain't gonna say that TJ McConnell won you that championship. You're gonna be an NBA champion.
Yeah, without question. I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
It's easily going to be that situation like that. It's going to be a situation that they're going to say the Pacers were the champions. They're not going to say, because honestly, let's face it, TJ McConnell, if the Pacers win, he's not going to get MVP of the series. He's not going to get any real accolade of the series. So whoever, if the Pacers win, it's going to be, Oliver, Haliburton, or Siakam, or one of them guys like that going to be MVP. So no one's going to really care that, like, TJ McCollum helped you win game was like game 5 today. So it's like sometimes you got to do what you got to do when it comes to winning, and everybody sees it differently. And like I said, the pro thing is a little tricky because you know how it is, man. Even like the rotations are tricky in the pros because it's like they're almost like scripted. You can almost tell when somebody's going out, like almost with every team. Okay, this guy is going to sit the first 3 minutes of this second half because of whatever. You know, it's so scripted that it's crazy.
Somebody, my man Paul says, I'm gonna ask you a question, Coach. You think is Haliburton a dog? Do you categorize him as a dog?
I don't know if he's a dog. I think he's a clutch, like I said, a clutch player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he's a guy that you will want on the floor for that last shot because he has a knack for making that last shot.
Yeah.
But is he a flat out? I mean, you know, the thing that I said, and once again, you know, still a little salty about the Knicks, but I'm gonna say this, right?
Man, look, I root for Josh Hart is from the DMV, so I was rooting for Josh. So
yeah, so the thing I said about this is like the way they were roughing up Brunson, right?
They were.
I didn't understand why they were roughing up Haliburton like that because Haliburton, you know, he's very slender frame, you know. You know, for a guy that's been in the NBA for a long time and played high major Division I basketball, it doesn't look like he has ever lifted a weight in his life. You know, it's like why are we not roughing him up like this? So you know, it's kind of tough to be a dog when you that slight of frame. Like now there's some skinny dudes that are dogs. So don't get me wrong.
No, Allen Iverson was a dog.
Yeah, there's some skinny dudes dog. Yeah, but with him, you know, I wouldn't necessarily classify him as a dog. Very good player. You know, I do think that he's a underrated player. You know, I know people say overrated. I think he's underrated in what he does, but at the same time, I don't think he's a superstar by any stretch. He's disappeared too much, and you know
that's my part.
Game. Like he's disappeared way too many times to be considered a superstar. You know, if you're just missing shots, you miss a shot. But today we took 6 shots, 4 shots.
No, he didn't take that many shots, and it wasn't like like we've seen people. Like, all right, you can use injury as an excuse because I don't want any. We've seen people like Isaiah Thomas in the finals against the Lakers was hobbling in third. That's an injury. Like, that's a legit injury. Like, you know what I mean? Haliburton was able to stop on a dime, get to a spot, able to go to the basket, go move laterally, and do whatever. Even his pat, he was going back and forth. He had everything he wanted in his bag. He couldn't get by anybody. It's the same speed. There was no him leaning on one side. He had the same opportunity on a step back shot. He hesitated because he's not hitting. So one, he hasn't hit the 3 ball since the last game. So his 3 ball has been off. So he's not confident in his 3 ball. So that's one. Secondly, like to your point, the Knicks didn't do it, but the Pacers, but OKC's doing it. They are playing them physical. Like you got Lou Dort on you. You got Wallace on you. You got all these dudes, even Caruso. All these dudes ain't gonna let up on him. And he's fighting through it. That's what it is. And I get it. Like I know why people want to. He's been clutch. He's been very clutch. You know what I mean? And you want to root for the small market. I get it. I'm not even mad at it. You know what I mean? But sometimes you gotta call it for what it is. Like he struggled. He had a bad game. Has he had great games? Just like we talk about his great performances. Like he's had great performances. It's okay to have a bad performance. And in this game, when they needed him in a game 5, where you know the pendulum sways which way, he didn't ball out. Siakam balled out, and I've always said this: the most consistent player in this postseason run for him. We can give Haliburton all the credit because he's been clutch. The most consistent dog on their squad has been Siakam.
No, Siakam's a problem, man. You know, I went to game 2 in the Garden, you know, and I went. Me and my son we were sitting there watching the game, and I'm like, "Yo, Siakam, it's like you forget how good he is." You know, that might be the first time, honestly, I've seen Siakam play in person, and you know, I'm looking at it from a different lens, and I'm just like, "Yo, this guy is good." You know, like
really good.
So, you know, like I said, Haliburton gets a lot of the credit because you know he's the USA Olympic team guy and stuff like that, but you know. He's a clutch player. He's not a superstar. I like what Magic Johnson said the other day.
I loved it.
What a superstar is, like somebody that can sell out the arena on the road. That's a fact, man. Like you know, Haliburton's not selling out an arena on the road. You know what I mean? Like if he goes to Atlanta, right? They're not selling out because Haliburton came there. You know what I mean? Like if LeBron goes to play to Atlanta, they're gonna sell out because LeBron is there, or you know, well, I guess Luka and LeBron are on the same team now. But like you know, people like that, they're gonna sell out arenas because people want to see them in strange places. Like you know, like if Haliburton goes to Portland, like the Trailblazers are not going to sell out because Halliburton's there. You know what I mean? So I think that was a very valid point. That a superstar got to be somebody that can sell out their arenas on the road. You know, because that's what we're really into seeing them. And I know a lot of people put things on championships and the thing I say about that is that, like, I feel like the only time people ever start talking about this championship argument is when people start talking about LeBron and Jordan.
No one was talking about that years ago. That's
Yeah,
what bothers me.
yeah.
So
I'm not talking about damn championships, man.
nobody
Like,
was doing that.
because Charles Barkley was a superstar. He never won nothing. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Like, Patrick Ewing was a superstar. He never won nothing.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
Carmelo Anthony's a superstar. He never won nothing. You know what I mean?
That's a fact.
But it's like when people try to have a valid reason of why LeBron is not the GOAT or why Jordan is the GOAT, then the championship thing come up. And it's like, you could be really good and not, ever win. Like, even in my profession, obviously I've been fortunate enough to win a few championships. But it's like, there's a lot of good coaches that never won a championship, man. That don't mean they was a bad coach. That don't mean that was dead. They just couldn't get over the hump. They didn't get lucky enough. They didn't do whatever the case, might have been to win a championship. But that doesn't mean, because even like, I'll give you like I'll use me for example. When we started winning a lot of these championships, people, put me in a different stratosphere. But it's like, I've honestly been doing some of the same stuff that I was doing 8 years ago. But it's just like now, for whatever reason, it's clicking to win a championship. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, but it is what it is, man.
No, it's real because, like I said it before, like I'm growing up, like when folks used to have the like who they wasn't like a GOAT, who's the best player ever or whatever. People were giving Jordan best player ever before he won a championship.
Yeah, without question.
So with the GOAT thing, ain't even like I don't even know when the championship thing came in just to do whatever because nobody was talking about Bill Russell was the best player ever. Nobody was making that argument about winning champion. Like I'm a Magic Johnson dude. That's like my favorite player ever. But like no one was talking about back then, more championships. Cause you know what I'm saying? Or this, that, and the other. Folks were like, Jordan, I see it. Jordan's the best. That's why certain folks were like, roll with it. And that was it. Just like to your point of recency, it's been more of like, you got to have championships to find if you to go to whatever.
Yeah, man. That's that. Like I said, it's just so many. I know this is a little off topic because we talk about the Pacers, but it's like,
we good.
With Bron, he's like the most hated superstar ever.
It's wild. It's wild, bro.
And people are hating him for no damn reason a lot of times, man. Like people just so it's like, it's just crazy. Like they'll make up any argument. Like I said, a championship argument. He went to the finals 10 straight times. Yeah, people say, he lost 4 out of 6. But you know how hard it is to get.
I say this all the time, man. I say this
to get to the damn championship.
Yeah. I'll be like, y'all, and then to do it, and I know I'm going off. It's okay though. I like I said, we always shoot the breeze.
Yeah.
Like, this is the thing. Like, I'm 44 and I still play basketball, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a challenge. And I'm like, this dude is 40 playing at the highest level and still one of the best players amongst all these young dudes. That is amazing to me. And for anybody to diminish that, I don't care what era you're trying to say, he's playing it easier. I don't care what you want to call it. To be able to score almost average about 26 a game, to do that, nah, bruh.
And honestly, even with that, right? I think that people have made up the easier era thing because of him.
Yeah.
Like, why is it easier now? Yeah, the rules are a little different that you can't push a dude, you know what I mean, or hand check a dude the whole way up the court. But honestly, the guys are bigger, faster, stronger, more athletic. So, like, and yeah, people gonna say, we were athletic back then. Yeah, people were athletic back in the day. Yeah, absolutely. But not 1 through 13 wasn't athletic. You know what I mean? Like now you go to an NBA roster, like really like 1 through 13, for the most part, is like super athletic, super strong, big. You take away like guys like TJ McCollum and stuff like that. But it's like, it's like other than that, you got guys that are super big, super strong, and things of that nature, man. So it's like, I think, like I said, I think a lot of these arguments have come up because everyone's trying to have the Bron MJ debate, and they're trying to give anything to MJ. And once again, I'm not be honest with you, this might sound crazy. I'm not a super, like I was never a super Michael Jordan fan.
Me either.
I'm not a super LeBron fan, but I'm gonna call a spade just from an objective point of view. You know what I mean? Like both those guys are great players, but I think that people are just making up stuff just to slight Bron, you know what I mean? And hype up MJ, because I think that
that's what it is.
From a coach, MJ had some flaws too, whether people thought so or not. He did have some flaws, you know what I mean? And LeBron does as well too. So it's like why can you like both, man? You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna end it. I'm gonna say this way. I'm gonna say this. I've said this. I've always made this argument to my friends or whatever. I was like, what's so funny to me? The reason why you hate Bron is because he's a threat to what you think. He's a threat to you. That's the reason why you hate, because you don't have. Truth be told, a lot of Jordan fans don't hate Kobe. Do you know why they don't hate Kobe? It's because Kobe, you don't get mad at a copycat. Like a copycat, the first is always better than the copycat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the original. I ain't gonna call it copycat.
Yeah,
the first is better. Like the original is always better than something trying to be like. You know what I mean? It's always you're always gonna say the original is better, regardless of the fact. So you go in and you have admiration for him because he tried to be like Mike. He copied Mike's game, and it's a good thing. Like Kobe is like that in terms of footwork, everything. But LeBron is different. So LeBron is different to a point where he has stats and stuff that's better than Mike, term stats wise, and you don't want to give him. So you want to hate on everything that he does because you feel like he's a threat.
Yeah, but I totally agree. They always, like I said, people want to see you do good, but they want to see you do better than them.
Exactly. Facts. Straight facts.
So they'll figure out a way to try to discredit you or diminish your accomplishments. You know what I'm saying? You can't let nobody diminish your accomplishments because your accomplishments are your accomplishments. So I think that is a case, and I think that is the fact. So it's crazy, man. But I guess, Game 6 is coming up with the Pacers. And
there you go. I know we didn't do that whole thing yet. So wait, real quick. So in this game, what stood out? All right. So what's the number one thing that stood out to you in this game, though?
Defense, man. I think OKC really played the defense that they normally could play. They've been playing all year. They really came out and showed their defensive prowess. You know what I mean? Like they enforced their will, they imposed their will on those guys, especially Haliburton, and things like that. So they came out and do that. And then of course, what's the young man? Jalen Williams, it was outstanding.
40, bro.
Yeah, outstanding today. So, but you need guys like that. Like, so usually to win a championship, usually your stars are going to show up because they're supposed to. Yeah. It's going to be those X factor guys, like like a Jalen Williams. And I know for OKC he is kind of like a star for them, but he's not
40 though.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the game that the Pacers won the other night. What's that? The kid Mathurin, right?
Mathurin, maybe. Yeah, Mathurin can score.
Yeah, 27, something like that.
Yeah.
So like you need a guy like that to show up to win these games because you would think that the stars are going to be the stars regardless, right? So you need the role player to step up to do something that's worth the damn. And Jalen Williams, really stepped up today, and Chet Holmgren has some moments too today.
Yeah, he did. Chet had some moments. I be feeling like Chet be playing soft sometimes. And I like Chet because I like Chet. He be looking soft sometimes. And I'm saying this as a dude who roots for Chet. Like I like Chet. But I agree with you. I felt like I'm gonna ask you this question too. Like not other than Jalen Williams, I think Jalen Williams is a star. Just like you said, he's like one of their best players. But you had guys like Wiggins, who made a lot of threes. Like, what is it about? And like, I want to get your opinion because obviously, you when you coach, you got some kids you probably play better at home than on the road. What is it about playing at home? Because Wiggins wasn't doing nothing on the road in Indy, but the couple games in at home with the Thunder, he was hitting the three ball like a game. I believe in game 2, he was shooting a three ball like that too. While they were in OKC in game 2. And now he did the same thing in game 5. Like, what is it about playing at home for like role players? It's like for role players.
I think that there's a level of comfort, there's a level of ease, playing at home. The crowd for the most part is cheering for you, for the most part. Okay. People, saying some wild things, even at home, but for the most part, they're cheering for you. So if you make that first shot, everyone's like, yeah. You feel good about taking the second one, and the second one goes in and you feel good about taking the third one, you know what I mean? So it's like, it feels good to play at home. And I think that's what serves it well. The road is tough, man. It's hard to win on the road, no matter what level. Whether it's high school, NBA, college, or whatever the case is, the road is a tough place to win. And I don't think a lot of people think that is easy. And it's like, there's a lot of factors on the road, man. There's the travel factor, of course. There's the, your routine is slightly off on the road. Of course, the familiarity with the arena or the gym or whatever, level you play at is different on the road. Of course, the fan pressure is different on the road. Now, some people like the road because they thrive to that fan. And some people like being a villain.
Reggie Miller just love to be a villain.
So, because like what I said was, like, once again, I'm gonna keep going back to my beloved Knicks, is that I thought that sometimes like people love the Garden, but I think sometimes the opponent likes the Garden more.
They love it way too much. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's a fact. That's a fact.
I think the opponent likes the Garden more because the Garden has been hyped up to be like this heaven of basketball, and I think that people get hyped up from the other side to play in the Garden. So it's like, and the Knicks feel the pressure because one thing I will say about the home fans, in the Garden, they're not always on your side. Like
that's a fact.
If you do a couple bad things, they are on you like you are the devil. You know what I mean? So there's an added pressure, I think, of the home team, and I think that's like that. All across the country though, because even like OKC is fanatics about basketball. Indiana is super fanatics about basketball. It's like a different level of oomph about it, but they're both fanatic about basketball. So there is some pressure of playing at home, and it could go either way. But some people thrive at home, and hate playing on the road, and maybe like some of the role players, they feel more at ease at home.
So what do you say to a player, when you see this kind of pattern, right? Especially like in postseason or whatever type of play, where they had a good game, but sometimes you've seen it in the regular season where when they go on the road, they don't play the way. What do you say to a player like that to say, all right, we're going on the road? What do you say how to keep the consistency? What do you say? Like, what would you say to a player like that?
Yeah, don't overthink it. Don't treat it, all the cliche things, I guess you say.
I guess, okay.
About like, treat it like a regular game, do this and keep your regular routine and everything like that. But I guess some people can't handle 20,000 people screaming at them in a negative way. I mean, I don't think a lot of people can't handle 20,000 people screaming at them in a negative way. So, hey, I always say, and once again, I haven't played in front of 20,000 NBA fans, but me as a coach, people sometimes ask me like, are you nervous when you coach some of the big games, right? It's like when we go to like a Tennessee that has 14, 15,000 people, stuff like that. Yeah. And I always say that, after the game is going, I kind of block out all that stuff for real. You know what I mean? It's like you almost get to the tunnel vision that all you see is the court. Like you don't even notice the thing. So I would, I think it's the same way for players because, like I said, I've never played in front of 20,000 people, but growing up playing in the parks that I played in New York City, you would have to block out some stuff. You know what I mean? Because if you don't block out some stuff, man, people gonna get to you. Like when you tell somebody on the sideline, say, "Hey, man, you make that next shot, you might not go home," and stuff like that. You gotta block out some of that stuff so you can make that next shot. You know what I mean? So it's like I do think that that people, you have to get like a tunnel vision when you're in that court, and I think it's able to be achieved. But some people can't do it, man. Some people just can't do it. Some people just can't do it.
And my man George is a big fan of yours. He said, George said, wait a minute, have the Knicks asked Norfolk State permission to interview Coach Jones?
Yeah. They had permission. I think it was declined. It was declined like everybody else. So I got to talk to I got to talk to her about it.
Oh man! All right, so real quick, hey, so if you're looking at the Pacers, what do the Pacers need to do to bounce back for Game 6? What do they need to do?
I think calm down, because like I said, at Spurs they were playing too fast. They were just doing some uncharacteristic things. They just got to bottle up those third and fourth quarter, like those spurts. And now instead of making it spurts, make it for the full 48 if possible. They got to do a better job, obviously, on the role players. They did a great job on some of the other main guys, because even Shai, like I forgot how much he had, but it wasn't.
Shai had like 9 for he had like 31, but it wasn't. It wasn't
it wasn't like a Shai, like how Shai played.
He was under 50. He was definitely under 50. He was like I want to say 9 for 21 or something like that. He was not.
When you do a good job like that, you can't go let Jalen Winslow get 40, right? So like you can't. That's the thing that you. If you're going to shut down the star, you can't let the role players get open. That's counterproductive.
Yes.
He's like, it's either one or two things you're going to do. Either you're going to let the star be the star and make sure the role players get nothing, or shut down shut down the star and try to shut down the role players too. That's the only way to do it. You can't let Shai get 30 and or whatever he had and then get
40. That's 71. 71 points by 2 players is wild. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, they had 29, 39 and a half or something like that, 29, 39
it was crazy. Like you talking about Williams?
Yeah, Williams and
like 29. It was crazy. And then
because I think the graphic says Siakam and Haliburton only had 10. Together, right? Yeah, and that was all Siakam.
That's all Siakam.
Yeah, so
they need to stop throwing back. They need to stop throwing folks in there that don't need to be thrown in there when they're not having a good game. I don't I don't like that type of thing. Like
it wasn't a duo; it was a 2-on-2 versus
exactly 2
one.
against 1.
Yeah, like that wasn't a 2-on-2 battle. So, but you know, man, it's crazy. Man. But I do think that they did slow down. I think they got to handle their pressure more. You know, they got to handle their defensive pressure because honestly, Indiana is is known, and people try to chop up their offense to try to see what they do from an offensive standpoint to play with that kind of pace.
Yeah.
But if you also notice, they force the pace a little bit defensively. You know what I'm saying? Like they were so cut up the heads with the Pacers. But it's like with Indiana also will pick you up 94 feet too.
I know.
They will do that. So they kind of force the pace on both sides of the ball, but they got to do a better job of doing that on both sides of the ball.
George says a question. Jalen Williams a chance for Finals MVP.
I don't know.
I'll say this: like Shai has had every game he's had about 30. He may be averaging about 30. It's going to be hard. I know Jalen's put up a 40, which is dope. In terms of body of work, it's the same thing I said about Siakam with Indy. The body of work and consistency is reason why. That's why Siakam was Eastern Conference, but fine was MVP of that, like Eastern Conference Final MVP, because he was more consistent. It's the same thing with here in this situation. Jalen has had a good series. Don't get it twisted, but I mean, Shai has been like the best. Shai has been more consistent. Shai is the better player. He's the best player on the team. So I would have to say it would probably go to Shai. It just makes more sense.
I would say that too.
Yeah. Great performance though. Like no great performance. Yeah. So I agree with you. I think that they gotta slow down. Then they gotta have less turnovers. I mean, and honestly, the most important thing, we've seen it. Haliburton got to start early. If he don't start early, then you're putting your team behind. And then you're gonna have to then the coach is gonna have a tough decision to make because this is an elimination game. This ain't we talked about it earlier, where you won't have to. Sometimes you have to go lean with your dogs, but now that don't matter. You're out. You're going home, so it shouldn't matter about how much money you make or whatever. Like whoever is playing well, if it's Carlisle, who I think Carlisle is one of the best coaches out there in the NBA. Mm-hmm. I feel like when you got one game elimination and you out, whoever's playing well is going to be out there. So it's important because this team does they do thrive when Haliburton is playing well. So he has to play well. If he don't play well, then they out of here.
And then hopefully he'll step it up. I think that like I say, he might not be a superstar in my opinion, but he is a star.
Yeah, he's a star.
And stars have to step up. Especially in closeout games. So you would see. You should see him step it up with a good game on game. Was that game 6? So
he
has to. If he doesn't,
he has to, bro. He has to. He has to. So, give me your prediction. What do you think does happen in game 6?
I think the Pacers win.
Me too.
I think the OKC is going to win in 7. I think the young boys are going to win in 7. Shai and those other young fellows of the team are going to get their first championship. I do think there's a lot of you talk about Rick Carlisle, and I can't pronounce the last guy. I always mess up his last name.
Nah, don't. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, whatever that guy's name is. He's a pretty good coach too. So I think he's a really underrated coaches. Yeah, coaching in the NBA Finals. That's refreshing to see. It's not just like your regular household. Even though Rick Carlisle is a champion, but it's not just your total household names. So it's kind of cool to see with that. But somebody's gonna get their first championship. I think it's gonna be OKC in 7. I don't think I'm not quite sure they're gonna win the next game, but I do think they're gonna win the series. But it's actually been pretty good, man. Because I think a lot of people thought OKC was gonna do it in 4.
Yeah, 5. I did. I thought so too. I ain't gonna lie. I was one of them dudes. I thought it'd be. I thought really. People were saying 5. I thought it'd be in 4. I was that arrogant. I won't even lie to you. But Indiana has shown me enough in terms of how their grit. It's their grit that's shown me. Because I think OKC is just a better team. I really do. I think top to bottom they're a better team. Yeah. But I think Indiana just got grit. They don't quit. They just don't quit. And that style of basketball where you playing somebody basically from a full court defense, that don't happen in the NBA. That's more of a college-based type of defense where you're playing somebody full court. NBA players don't typically do that. So for the most of the game, I thought they were tiring them out playing that style, but they haven't. They've had that same energy throughout the whole the whole series so far. And at times OKC is kind of has withered with the pressure. You know what I mean? Like even simple inbound plays, they've like thrown the ball away. So it does work. So I totally agree with you. I think I'm with you. I think Indy wins Game 6, and I think it goes 7, and OKC wins 7. So I'm not like, because I know it's going to be a challenge. I know Indy's going to come out strong. I expect Haliburton to play better. I do. I expect him to play better.
He got no choice.
He has no choice. Oh, he said. Oh, George says Daniel. That's how you say his name. Daniel. That's his last name. Daniel. Okay. Well, Daniel, Coach Daniel. Thank you, George. I appreciate you, homie. I do. I won't remember that tomorrow. I ain't gonna lie to you. I won't. But yeah, but I did want to ask you something. Damn. So it was referring to something you said about your coaching style. I can't remember it. I'll talk. All right. Anyway, can you tell me about again. In terms of, I want to make sure everybody knows this. This is like one of the better coaches in all of college basketball. Appreciate him for doing the show. We're gonna have him on for HBCU corner. I want to know about his squad. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I do want to know about his squad.
I want to know about him too. So let's figure it out together.
What's going on, Christian? Man, dunk contest winner. You know what I'm saying?
He got I don't know why our SID department hasn't put it out yet, but a couple of days ago he got selected to the NBA PA top 50 HBCU camp.
Oh, dope. Okay,
yeah, so he's gonna be able to perform in front of all the NBA teams and stuff like that.
Okay, good opportunity.
Yeah.
Man.
And it is like, we'll see what happens, because at the end of the day, he does have NBA athleticism.
Yes.
Does he have an NBA game? We got some things that he probably need to polish, but at least he gets to people put eyes on him. And now we'll see what happens from there. Maybe he gets a G League situation, maybe he gets a summer league situation. Whatever it is, just able to get the team's eyes on him. So it'll be great. I know he's excited about that. I'm gonna try to go down there for a day if I can. But as he knows too, that as much as I love to support him or any former player, there's also some new guys coming in town too that got to get molded. So we'll see what happens with that. But he just got selected to that, so that's kind of dope, man.
That's dope, man. Like what I like about Philly is a leader. He's a natural born leader. That's what I love about him. Yeah. To your point, though, I think he has NBA athleticism. I mean, folks, come on, man. Y'all seen the ESPN stuff. Y'all saw him on ESPN. Y'all saw him. He won the dunk contest. Y'all already know what time it is. So, I'm happy for him. I'm glad he's getting the opportunity to showcase his talents. Yeah,
so we're excited about that, and hopefully, we can keep getting kids in that situation. So, but it just once again just shows you that in this day and age, you could go anywhere if you're able to play. There's so many different platforms to give you that opportunity. So like and I guess it's probably a shameless recruiting pitch, but it's like you don't have to go to what you think you have to go to, right? You can go to you could go to HBCU and you could do things and get the same kind of looks as some of the end quote bigger schools. So it's cool that he does it, and hopefully he runs with the opportunity. And because sometimes all you need is the opportunity, and if you get the opportunity, you see what happens.
Coach, I've always said this, man. I'd rather go to a school where you can showcase my ability and my talents rather than to a school where I'm just another player.
Yeah, my question.
That's my thing. Anyway, I appreciate you for being on. I appreciate you doing this, man. You're, like I said, you're a dope individual, a dope coach, a dope mentor for the youth, and for our HBCU kids. I love it. I love the way you coach. I love your style. And I love the consistency. You're a winner. That's what's important in this whole thing. You know what I mean? And I think you lead these young men well. So, and folks, again, make sure you see the Twitter handle with him. Make sure you follow him, follow his program. His program has been consistent. It's one of the most consistent programs in HBCU sports. Forget sports, bro. One of the most consistent programs in all of college basketball. So
there you go. Okay, I was going to correct you.
No, I got you. I got you. That's why when I started, I said one of the best college coaches. I ain't say HBCU coaches.
Yeah.
I'm hip. Anyway, man, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Anyway, you've been listening to the Urban Sports Say for ages. You dig? Deuces. We are out.
Peace.